3-4s. So today for the extension activity, we're going to be learning how to use vertical addition to add decimal numbers. So we're going to do a few equations first together. Our first one is 15.31 add 9.087. Now, a common mistake that people make is if we were adding these numbers together, they both have 4 digits in them. So lots of people would just set them up for vertical addition like this, with each number in line with one another. Now this would lead to an incorrect answer, because if you can have a look, the actual value of each column is different. So you can see here, the 1 in this number actually is representing the tens, whereas the 1 in this number is representing the ones. So that would be adding the tens and ones together. And then here, you would be adding the ones and the tenths together. So remembering from the decimal point to the right, it is a part of a whole. So the first point to the right of a decimal number is the tenths column. The next column is the hundredths column. And then the third column to the right of the decimal is the thousandths. So they're all parts of a whole. Anything to the left of a decimal is a whole number. So what we need to do when we're using vertical addition to add decimals, we need to line the decimal points up. So let's fix this for this equation. So what you might like to do is even firstly draw your 2 decimal points, then write your numbers up from there. So I would have 15.31 add, so I've got 9.087. So now our thousandths column is lined up, our hundredths column is lined up, our tenths column is lined up, and then our ones column and our tens column is lined up. As you can see, there is no value in the thousandths column in one of our numbers here. So what we can do is just add a 0 to hold that place value spot, and same thing here in our tens column, we can add a 0 so we don't get confused. So now what we've done, because we've lined up our decimal points, we can just start adding as per usual, like we usually do when we are using vertical addition. So we do 0 and 7 is 7. Then we move on to the next place value column. 1 and 8 is 9. 3 and 0 is 3. 5 and 9 is 14. So we're going to rename that. So this is saying 14 ones. So 14 ones renamed is the same as saying 4 ones and 1 10. So we're going to carry that 10. And then we'll move on to our tens column. 1 and 1 is 2. What we need to remember to do is add in our decimal place, so it just goes in the same spot directly in line with all the other decimal points. So our answer is 24.397. Let's do another one together. So the key steps are to firstly make sure all the decimal points are lined up. If there are any spots missing, to fill them with a 0. And then we just add as usual. And we just need to make sure at the very end that we don't forget to add the decimal point into our answer. So the next one is 0.822. I'm going to put the decimal point straight underneath so I can make sure they're in line with each other. And we're going to add 5.65. Now, as you can see, this number doesn't have any value in my thousandths column. So I'm just going to add a 0 there so I don't get confused. What I'm also going to do with my answer, because often I forget to add my decimal point in my answer, I'm going to put it there straight away before I even start adding. Now, begin with the right-hand side. So we always begin with the lowest value. So we're going to begin with our thousandths column and move towards the left. So 2 add 0 is 2. 2 and 5 is 7. 8 and 6, that's 14. So in our place value column, we're in the tenths column. So that's 14 tenths. Remember, we can't write 2 digits down here, so we need to rename it. So 14 tenths is the same as saying 1 whole and 4 tenths. So I'm going to write my 4 tenths down and I'm going to carry my whole to my ones column. Now I'm going to add my ones. 1 and 5 is 6. So my answer is 6.472. And because I already had my decimal place there, so I didn't need to add it in. Let's try one more together. This time we're going to be adding 3 numbers that have decimal places. So our first one is 7.056. The next one is, I need to might move that over a little bit, 605.7. So making sure all my decimal points are lined up. And the last number we're going to add to it is 5.67. So as you can see, my first number has the whole number of the ones and it goes all the way to the thousandths place value column. My next number goes all the way to the hundreds as a whole number, but only goes to the tenths column to the right of the decimal. And my third number has the ones as a whole number and it only goes to the hundredths. So we have lots of different values here. So what's really important, so I don't get confused, is I'm going to add those zeros into those gaps. So now there is a number in each of those place value spots. Because as we can see here, it was saying that there's nothing in the thousandths column. So I'm just going to put a 0 to represent that. So I just check all my decimal points are lined up. All my place value columns are lined up clearly. So remembering, we start with the lowest value, which is our thousandths column. So we move from the right to the left when adding, and now we're just going to add per usual. So 6 add nothing else is 6 thousandths. 5 and 7 hundredths is 12 hundredths. So we can't write 12 down here, so we need to rename it. So 12 hundredths is the same as saying 2 hundredths and 1/10. So we're going to carry that 1/10 over to our 10th column. Remembering we do a big one, so we don't forget to add it at the very end. So 1, add 7 and 6. So I can see a near double here, which is 12 and then 13. Add 1 is 14. So 14 tenths, we need to rename it. So we're going to rename it to 4 tenths and 1 ones. So I'm going to carry my 1 ones there. Then we're going to add here. So I can see my doubles. So 10, add 7 is 17, add 1 more. So that's 18 ones. We need to rename that to 8 ones. And then we carry our 1/10. So 1/10, and we've got nothing else in that place value column, so we can put the 1 straight down. And then we move to our hundreds. We only have the 6 in our hundreds column, so we can put that straight down as well. Now, if we have a look at the answer, this would read as 618,426. So we need to make sure that we add that decimal number in, because that changes the value of the answer. And it just goes in line with all the other decimal places. So our answer is 618.426. Good luck with your questions, guys.